I'd like to welcome everybody to the West Essex Reconstruction Project virtual open house. It's going to run from 6 tonight till 7, or earlier if we don't have any questions that go past that. It's kind of divided up into 3 parts. My brief introduction today, introducing myself. By the way, I'm Rick Holsinger, Assistant City Engineer. Also on the line is Chris Kruger, the City Engineer. And I'm the project manager for the project for the city. There's going to be like 3 parts to this meeting. There's going to be this introduction. Then Colin Wilcox from Lockmuller is going to give his presentation, and then we'll open the floor up to questions. So I guess, Colin, you can go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Yeah, this will be a brief overview of the project, and we'll open it for questions at the end. But we wanted to give you a general overview, and there'll be opportunity for more detailed discussions tomorrow in person, and we'll get to that information at the end. So we'll just go ahead and get started then. Just some Zoom etiquette information. Been informed that we don't have a chat feature, so if you do have a question, just raise your hand and we will get to that at the end of the presentation. We'll have a Q&A session. Just some more etiquette, basic stuff. We'll answer questions at the end, so if you aren't muted, please just let us finish and then we'll get to you when we can. Just try to have respect for the hosts and for the other attendees, and refrain from any inappropriate language. Just agenda of tonight's meeting. So we'll introduce the team. Rick already did most of that, but we'll talk about everyone involved. We'll give an overview of the project location, tell you a bit about the road as it is today, the history and the background of the project, talk about some proposed features to be installed, and show you the plan sheets of what we're going to do. And then we'll open up for Q&A after a quick summary. So the project team. Project team is Rick. He's the project manager for the city of Kirkwood, assistant city engineer. And Chris Kruger is supporting him as the city engineer. For Lockmuller Group, we have myself and Kelly Davis. She's the department manager. And I think she's on the line here to answer any questions if you have anything. Kelly. Just location of the project is on West Essex Avenue between Geyer Road and Kirkwood Road. It's about 2,500 feet or just under half a mile long. So the roadway is a minor collector. That's functional classification. The speed limit's 25 miles an hour. As of last year, the average daily traffic was 4365. And there are 2 lanes in each direction with on-street parking currently allowed on both sides. The condition of the roadway, as you can see by the picture, is poor. There's severe alligator cracking throughout, which suggests base failure, and the last known pavement rating done by the city or by the city standards was 2018, and it was below a 4 out of 10. So it's deteriorated more since then. Another issue with the roadway today is the side road crowns intersect Essex Avenue and create dips along the Essex profile. creating like a roller coaster effect. And then we have a typical section of the roadway up at the top. So about 4-foot sidewalks and between curbs, about 30 feet of pavement. Because the roadway is so wide, speeding is a big problem. As we mentioned, the sidewalk is narrow in most places, 4-foot maximum. The curb ramps are narrow and they're not up to ADA compliance. The crosswalk and bike lane pavement markings are either, well, there is no bike lane today, and the crosswalk markings are either missing or not compliant. And the same goes for the signage for crosswalks. Another issue is at most of the side roads, we have ponding of water, and that's due to the crown issue and a lack of necessary stormwater inlets on the radii. Just a general feature of the road today is it has about an 8-foot tree lawn in between the sidewalk and the road. So as a background, the city has performed a conceptual design study and a parking study 4 years ago. And I think it's been in the works since before then. And they came up with the most viable option during those studies. And that's what we're working with today for design. For funding, they secured an STP grant from East West Gateway. And so that pays the majority of the project. But there is also some local funding from the city's general revenue fund. The intent of the project is largely to improve the pavement condition and sidewalk condition, increase safety for drivers and pedestrians per the city's Vision Zero plan, to eliminate ponding issues and roller coaster along the roadway, bring pedestrian facilities into ADA compliance, and encourage Kirkwood residents to engage in active transportation. Some proposed features of the roadway is we're looking to widen the sidewalk to 5 feet wide. And the roadway will have a 4.5-foot wide bike lane and a 1.5-foot wide buffer space. The driving lanes will be 10 feet wide in each direction. It'll be all new pavement. So we'll have a 2-inch asphalt surface on top of 8.5-inch base on top of a new aggregate. And a slightly revised profile of West Essex. Some more features. So we'll have 2 of the rapid flashing beacons at Van Buren and Clay Avenue. And so those will be crossings across West Essex, where there'll be push button activated beacons like are shown here. All new ADA compliant curb ramps throughout. We'll have several side roads that have curb bump outs. So that'll bring the curb in at the intersection with Essex. And what that will do is decrease the distance for pedestrians to cross the road and for better visibility between pedestrians and drivers as they approach the crosswalk. And then, as we mentioned earlier, just more stormwater infrastructure to improve drainage. So we can get into the general overview of our plan drawing. The shading is new pavement, and then you can see the hatched area or the patterned area would be sidewalk. So we start just east of Geyer Road and go east from there. And then down below here we have, so the solid line is the new roadway profile of Essex, and then the dashed below it is existing. And you can see a plan overview of the bike lane here. It's similar to that graphic we showed earlier. As we move east, it's the same cross section moving east, but then we have here would be one of the flashing beacon crosswalks across Essex. So that's at Van Buren. And then as we get further east, Harrison will have the north leg of Harrison will be the first bump out. So you can see here that reduces the crosswalk distance. And then we'll have additional bump outs at Clay on both north and south legs. And another crossing across Essex at Clay. Oh, sorry. And then finally, it ends just west of Kirkwood Road, and we'll tie into the sidewalk improvements that the city made on the Kirkwood Road project down there. That's just a general plan overview, and it's a preliminary plan at this point, and we will welcome comments and make design adjustments as necessary. There will be some temporary impacts to property during construction, and the city will be acquiring temporary easements for that work. So basically, we'll have to blend in behind that new sidewalk and tie driveways back into existing. Those driveways that are disturbed and replaced will be put back in equal or better condition. So we'll have new pavement for those. Because of the profile adjustments and the new sidewalk, wider sidewalk, there will be some trees and landscaping features that will have to be removed. So those details, we can show those on the plans at tomorrow's in-person meeting. The driveways that are replaced, they will be open for the most part at all times to the property owners, but there will be short periods of time when they will have to be closed. In general, even if the pavement is out and they've torn the pavement up for the temporary condition, they will put in aggregate to maintain access for the owners. On Essex, the road itself, at all times, there will be access for emergency vehicles, mail trucks, trash trucks, and recycling. When construction starts and after construction, there will not be any parking on street. The local access will be maintained on Essex at all times during construction. So if you live on Essex or just off Essex, there will be barricades blocking off one lane of traffic, but it'll always be maintained to get to your homes. There'll be detour for the cut through traffic or anyone who's not getting to local destinations. And then obviously there'll be noise and dust during construction, and that'll be limited to daytime hours.
Alan, this is Rick. I just want to jump in real quick. There will be utility relocations during the course of the job. I know Kirkwood Water is planning various main relocations on Essex between Geyer and Kirkwood, but the extent of the other utilities is unknown at this time.
Yes, we're working with Cavendio Associates, and they're doing a detailed utility assessment and review. So the final plans will have some more detailed relocation. So project timeline, as we mentioned, the city will be acquiring temporary easements coming up in the next few months, and they're expecting that process to take about a year. So the city will be reaching out to the residents along Essex for negotiations for those easements coming up soon. Final design is currently underway and should wrap up in February of next year. Then the project will go out to bid late summer, early fall next year, and construction will start shortly thereafter and is anticipated to take a year. So would finish in October of 2024. Next, as we said, we'll open it up to quick questions here, but if you have lengthier concerns and would like to get those in writing, there'll be a survey form on city's website that you can email and submit. And that window for comment will be open until July 29th. Next step, we'll have in-person meeting tomorrow at the community center from 4:30 to 7:30. And we invite everyone to attend that. We can discuss more specific and detailed impacts at that meeting. We'll have the plans on display. And then going forward, we'll be coordinating with the owners and addressing any specific concerns you would have. City will have the plans, and they'll have the project information on their website at the link above. And if you have any concerns outside of the survey form, Rick's information is there. But I think that's our last slide. So, do we have any questions? Got a few. Okay.
This is the part I'm not seeing it.
I see Jeff and one other person has their hand raised, but yeah, I don't have the ability to unmute them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this may not work out. But like we said, we'll have that survey form on the website if you want to do an official response, or we'll be in person tomorrow night at Community Center, and we can talk to you in person then.
I don't know who was first. I think I can get Jeff. I'm going to click on him and allow him to talk. Mr. Smith.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Unfortunately, you don't have my camera, but thank you for the time this evening. I had a few questions. First and foremost, how can we get an electronic copy of this presentation?
It'll be available on the city website. So we'll have a recording of this, definitely a recording of this Zoom meeting. Rick, do you know if we'll have the PowerPoint or just the recording?
Yeah, I can post that too.
Okay, thank you. That would be very helpful. Some of my concerns are, questions first. From the center line of West Essex as it stands today, what additional area is going to be taken via permanent easement? Let's just say we're measuring from the center line of West Essex today to the edge of the far edge of the 4-foot sidewalk. How much additional space do you anticipate taking?
There will be no permanent easement acquisition on the project. It'll all be within, sidewalk will all be within city right of way.
Okay. So there'll be no additional taking beyond the right of way that exists today.
Correct.
Okay. I have some concern. My family has some concern about the removal or absence of limited parking along one side of West Essex as it stands today. That would force people to go to Clay or additional side streets, which is quite a distance from some people's residence. The concept of a bike lane on both sides is to eliminate the potential for parking is somewhat overreaching where my family's involved. So that's just my comment. I'll make it again tomorrow night. I also have some concerns. There's a lot of existing tall timber along the 33 households that are in existence today. Many times when cuts are made for these types of projects, the long-standing effects on this timber takes place several years down the road, which could come at very large costs to homeowners. I'd like to know what the city's position is if a tree is damaged and has to be taken down at a later time. And I quite certainly don't expect answers to these questions tonight, but I thought I would pose them so that they could be put up for discussion. And my assumption is, and you answered the question, that temporary construction easements are going to be negotiated during the course of whatever process would take if this project goes forward. It's my understanding that there's a significant amount of federal funding that has been approved for this project, approximately 3/4 of it. So I would assume that that had a significant bearing on Kirkwood legislators to consider getting the project done. Is it's going to be funded externally? Is that correct?
Yes, it's approximately 80% federally funded.
Okay. What is the distance between the existing curb? What is the right of way beyond the existing curb in feet?
It varies somewhat, but we can take a look at the typical section. So it's about 15 feet in general.
And that income, what's the average distance from the curb to the beginning of the sidewalk? 8 feet?
Yeah, 8 feet.
And then you've got a 4-foot sidewalk, and then you've got a right of way of about 3 feet, essentially into everybody's front yard.
Yes.
I know there's quite a few people that have irrigation. How's that going to be handled? And some of these yards are pretty shallow in the front, and the concept of pushing things inward is going to have significant impact on the green space of some of the front yards of these houses.
Well, that's what we were saying, is the sidewalk, the back of sidewalk isn't getting pushed further from the center line. The buffer space, that 8-foot buffer space, is being reduced to allow that extra width. So it's not going any further back.
In this picture, the trash cans sit in the buffer space, and you're suggesting that that is the area that will be reduced.
Right. Yeah.
Does anybody foresee the potential that the existing utilities that are pole hung utilities will be placed underground?
There's no anticipation that they would underground the electric at this time. They would most likely relocate the poles.
It seemed to me that this would be an opportune time to take that underground. But I know there's probably added cost there. It might be a consideration. And I believe it was on slide 3, I saw an illustration that did include street parking. Was that in error, or if you back up a few slides, Colin, I think you'll see it. One more.
Right. Existing, that we were just highlighting the existing roadway, talking about.
Now there was an illustration, a new illustration that included the crosswalks, the new crosswalks, okay, which showed street parking. There you go.
This is just a graphic to illustrate the benefits of the bump out.
I like the benefits of the bump out that include that street parking. I think those were all my comments for now. I appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Going to the next person down. Allow them to talk. Go ahead.
I have a simple question. Will sidewalks be extended the entire distance from Kirkwood Road to Geyer on both sides of Essex? Because some places now do not have them.
Yes, there'll be a 5-foot sidewalk on both sides.
Okay.
Between Garner and Kirkwood. Okay.
Okay, we'll go to the next one, Mike Fagan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. I noticed in this picture, well, let me first say that it appears that there'll be a crosswalk near my property. So I was kind of wondering about the beacons. Would they be similar to the beacons shown in this picture, or would they be more like the beacons that were installed by the elementary school on Geyer Road? And I think there's one on Kirkwood Road as well.
Rick, we haven't gotten that far in the final details of the plans, but
okay,
it'll be up to city preference on.
I'll step in on that. This is Chris with City of Kirkwood. It would not be like the pedestrian hybrid beacon that you see in front of Kaiser Elementary or on Kirkwood Road. It would be similar to the crossing marking or lights that you see down at Windsor and Geyer Road.
Okay, that's what I was thinking as well. So thank you for clarifying that. One more question from me is I have several trees in my easement. And I guess when will I be informed of, I'm trying to figure out, will those trees stay or will those trees go? I guess someone will get in touch with me. I don't want to waste everyone's time. It's kind of a like an individual question. So I just wanted to get thoughts on the timeline for when someone might be reaching out to me about that kind of information.
That will most likely be in the next 2 to 3 months. We'll start the easement acquisition process. So once we have these public meetings and finalize the design, we'll move forward and reach out to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, Jeff, I think it's your turn up.
I primarily had my opportunity. I did want to ask, though, a follow-up. Are there any other permanent bike lanes being planned in Kirkwood right now?
I'll step in on that one. This is Chris again. So Geyer Road Phase 2, which is south of Adams, we do have bike lanes proposed for that section of Geyer, like we do from Manchester down to Adams. That is, I believe, this project and Geyer Road Phase 2 are our only current projects that are adding bike lanes to our system.
Chris, a follow-up. West Essex is an incredibly busy street with the high school at the far end and its connection to Kirkwood Road. It would seem to me that the addition of bike lanes on a street that pushed this amount of traffic through it on a daily basis would not be in the best interest of residents, drivers, or got people on bikes to be, whether a bike lane or not. It's an incredibly active street.
Yeah, so it is identified in our bicycle and pedestrian plan to have bike lanes. However, I failed to mention one more project, which is Lindeman, from our city limit down to Doherty Ferry. But what we do look at through our complete streets policy, that we look at all modes of transportation, and people, we're trying to be inclusive, and so this is part of our complete streets policy.
I have a great respect for looking out for everybody and inclusion, but I've lived here since 1994, and when I compare the number of bikes that go in front of my house on a daily basis and automobiles, I think we ought to really be taking a strong look at the safety of those that are traversing in cars and bicycles. And it appears to me, in this case, narrowing these lanes in an effort to try to put bike lanes in without expanding the right-of-way, which I do appreciate that, seems to be somewhat converse in its strategy. And I'll yield and lower my hand.
Thanks for your comments, Jeff.
Thank you. I guess we'll go to resident 1. If you could identify yourself, I appreciate it.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay. My name is Dana Mulkey. We're at the corner of North Clay and Essex. So my question would be, we've lived here for just under 20 years and we've spent a lot of money on our side yard that faces in on Essex, tons of hardscape gardens that will be impacted by the sidewalks. Right now, we currently don't have a sidewalk in our yard, so there'll be one that is going to be put in. So what is the plans for someone like us that have spent significant amounts of money on landscaping and hardscape for what happens when those are ripped out? Is there design plans for the upper part of our side yard that's impacted?
Well, generally during negotiation for that temporary easement, all those landscaping elements are taken into consideration for a monetary reimbursement.
So it'll be more of a negotiation of money versus you all doing some, is there going to be like a retaining wall that's put in? Because our side yard is raised currently? Do you know like how the sidewalk is going to transition into the hillside? Or is that something we could find out more tomorrow night?
We will have, yeah, we'll have more detailed plans tomorrow, but the exact location of walls is not known at this stage of design. But we'll be able to address that question better tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we'll go to Joshua. You're next. Please identify your name and address.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yep.
I'm Joshua Garner. I live at 412 West Essex. I just was kind of wanted to add an opposing viewpoint from the parking perspective. I think that the parking on West Essex has always kind of been problematic, and I'm looking forward to having that removed. It's hard to back out of my driveway when, you know, people are parked behind and all that. And like it's been noted, West Essex is a fairly busy street. So having that added bit of difference, you know, day to day, whether or not, you know, there's a car parked behind you or not, and whether or not people are coming at full speed or speeding down the road, it just seems like it's a good addition to remove that parking, and I do like that portion of the plan.
Thank you. Yeah, like the city has conducted a parking study to determine the usage of parking on the roadway and has determined this design to be adequate.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised.
Has Mike Fagan had a chance to speak? No.
Yes, sorry, I'll lower my hand. Sorry about that.
Nope. Okay.
Well, if we don't have any additional questions or comments right now, I guess I'd like to wrap this meeting up. Just remind everybody that tomorrow at 4:30 to 7:30 at the recreational complex, we'll be having another live meeting with plans for additional comment. If anybody has anything else, if not, I guess we'll call this the end.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you.